Okay. And now to the looming showdown over immigration. We've been reporting exclusively on this all week. And in a late evening White House meeting with members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, President Obama announced he's ordered the Department of Homeland Security to review the way it enforces immigration laws. The president called the meeting with 3 key members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus just as word got out on BuzzFeed and on this show that the group was working on a plan to demand that the president suspend deportations. Why go after the president as opposed to Republicans?
The president will reach his political limit on deportations before he reaches his legal limit. You know, then people will say, well, is he a lawless president?
The White House says the review will take a specific look at, quote, how it can conduct enforcement more humanely within the confines of the law. And it's that phrase, within the confines of the law, that's key here, because the president's meeting with the Hispanic Caucus comes just days after House Republicans passed 2 bills that they say will force the president to adhere to the law and increase deportations. Except that the Obama administration has been aggressively deporting undocumented immigrants per the law for years. Some activists even call him the deporter-in-chief out of sheer frustration. Now, the fact is that the number of deportations under President Obama is approaching 2 million, and that's why activists are so upset. But that apparently isn't enough for House Republicans. It seems they'd rather pick yet another fight with the president than work on real immigration reform. They claim the reason immigration reform is stalled is because the president can't be trusted to enforce the law. They're blaming him for their failure to act. Here's House Speaker John Boehner just last month.
He's feeding more distrust about whether he's committed to the rule of law. Listen, there's widespread doubt about whether this administration can be trusted to enforce our laws. And it's going to be difficult to move any immigration legislation until that changes.
Meanwhile, activists are losing patience and want the president to choose his battle. Will it be a fight over enforcement with Republicans or a battle with Latinos on deportations? Representative Luis Gutierrez joins me now from Washington. Congressman Gutierrez, thanks for being here. Give us a little bit of what's happened on this resolution that the Congressional Hispanic Caucus was working on, that activists wanted strengthened, and now, per the meeting with the White House, does this resolution go forward?
Yeah, listen, number one, Joy, it's a pleasure to be with you. I think the introduction really puts us and focuses us where we should be. There's 3 prongs to this, right? But a very important and essential one is the Republican Party, the majority party in the House of Representatives, that said, oh, here are our proposals and our principles. What did the president say? Great. Let's get to work on it. I said it. Nancy Pelosi. I have never seen, nor I think on MSNBC, have you ever seen a Republican proposal have such wide acceptance from the Democratic Party as their proposal? And then they took it away. So look, you want to finish the deportations? You want to really heal and have a humane, compassionate deportation process? Then let's do comprehensive immigration. But the second prong to this is, out there is real pain. And you know what, Joy? I met with President Barack Obama yesterday. I drafted the resolution for the Hispanic Congressional Caucus. The caucus was ready to adopt it, not in a mean-spirited manner. The first line says, you're our champion, Mr. President, on immigration, and we need you to give more relief to our immigrant community on deportation. So, look, the President of the United States is ultimate. We want the ultimate goal is for him to sign a bill. But out there in the community, there's a devastating effect of the deportation. That's what we talked to the president about. And you know what? He didn't react defensively. He didn't react angrily. He didn't bring up the names he's been called, and I've called him some of those. He said, listen, I want to work on a more humane manner to look at the deportation. That's what I've instructed. And here's what I think what is very important that he said. I feel the heartbreak, too. I believe the president. He feels the heartbreak. He wants to get comprehensive immigration reform. And if the Republicans don't believe that the president enforces the law, then why is it that key allies of the president of the United States, Democrats, all of us that campaigned for him and voted for him and believe in his presidency and him individually are the ones that are taking him to task because he is enforcing the law. And what they want is more deportation. But let me just say to the Republican Party, in the the end, it won't be Democrats or this president that are going to be held responsible for the failure to act on comprehensive immigration reform. It's going to be you. And you had better get wise to it.
Well, Congressman, you say that it won't be Democrats who will be held responsible or the president, but you yourself are getting a lot of pushback per this BuzzFeed report we've been following for the last couple of days. There was a lot of pushback really even against you and against the members of the CHC that the resolution you guys were floating wasn't strong enough. You have some people that want to push as hard as possible, even at the risk of a collision with the House of Representatives on enforcement. Do you have concern that if the president goes too far and says, you know what, I'm just going to suspend deportations, that really puts him in an even worse position in a collision course with the House?
I think it is Joy, it's a very natural process that occurs within those of us in the pro-immigration movement, that we have a debate and a discussion. That's good. It's healthy for Democrats. I'm happy. As a matter of fact, we did make amendments to the resolution before we attempted to adopt it yesterday, because we listened to our community. Look, there's always going to be differences between those of us elected and those of us out there in the field. But I think the resolution was an important resolution, and it accomplished its goals. Many people, Joy, have called upon the president to stop the deportations, have called upon the president to reconsider the deportation. We drafted a resolution. We didn't even vote on it. We didn't adapt it. They're going to begin to look at how it is. They have a much more humane within the confines of the law. We would never ask this president to act outside of the law. He has acted within the confines of the law. Now, we do disagree with the president in terms of what is his ability and how far it is he can act in terms of his discretion. I think in the end, we have to do two things. We have to keep the heat on the Republican Party for our immigrant community. We have to continue to talk, persuade, cajole our president to ease up on these deportation and find a much more humane approach to it. And number three, every day 2,000 Latinos turn 18. And I know your viewing audience asking how many of those are citizens. I'm only talking about Latino youth that turn citizens every day. 2,000 Latinos turn 18. There are 8 million permanent residents who today can apply for American citizenship. So listen, we're also going to think on a much longer term. The Republican Party had better get ready, not only for the demographic tsunami if they don't act on immigration reform, they better get for the political muscle that we're growing in our community.
Well, and we're out of time, Congressman. Just a quick maybe yes or no question. Do you agree with Congressman Raul Labrador, who has said that if John Boehner puts comprehensive immigration reform on the floor, it could cost him his speakership? Do you agree with that?
I have to tell you something. Do I agree with it? No, I don't agree with it. I think the Republican Party will maintain him. I'm not a member of that caucus, but I don't agree with him. I think the vast majority of the Republicans would really like a bill on comprehensive. Even if they don't vote for it, they'd like to have a vote on it. Because here's what the Republican Party and the Republican caucus knows, that there are 40, 50 members of the Republican caucus right now. Now, you'll say that's only 20% of them, but they're ready to vote. And they can join 200 Democrats. And you want to know something? For the good of the nation, we can take this one off the table so that we can have a much more humane approach to our immigrant. We can fix our broken immigration system. And for the good of the Republican Party, they can once again attempt to be a national party. They'll never be a national party again. I don't say that as a Democrat. Right. I don't say that as a partisan. It's a political reality.
All right, Congressman Luis Gutierrez, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joy.
All right, and coming up, the gesture...